I've been excited about this, and I think it's because it's been really interesting for me as somebody who's been listening to you for a long time. I feel like I grew up with your music in a lot of ways. To sort of chart how your own sound and how you're both lyrically and musically, sort of the growth and evolution that you've had as an artist. And I'm wondering how you feel like you write music lyrically and sonically different now than you did when you were younger and when you were just starting out.
What I've hoped to have done or tried to do is build on whatever skill set there was, early on, I would say we pressed record and had no business doing so. It's like maybe go work on your skills before doing the recording. In fact, the first album that the thing that we had done a live recording at our church. It was like just hit record on a Sunday morning, but we had it was like legit recording truck in the back. It was like professionally done, and man, it took me like 2 or 3 years to find every one of those CDs and throw them away. I would go over to friends' houses and just steal them off of their CD.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No one knows. Yeah. No one knows about that because we had no business. So what my point is, I've been trying to build on. It's a learning process, and so I hope I've been learning along the way. My solo endeavor with Crowder, the first one was Neon Steeple, and the last one was I Know a Ghost. I Know a Ghost was pretty experimental for me as a creative or somebody making music. I wrote it all based on hip hop tracks. I just got people to send me hip hop tracks and then tried to write on top of them to see if it was possible. And it was. I felt like I had a great time doing it, and I thought this is super fun. Now, what if I took what I've learned of how to do that and we made a album that was a little more refined, still had some of that urban. I'm a little more into R&B now than I was then. So it's like it's got a little more R&B urban stuff to it and very choral. And what if we used everything I've learned so far and just tried to refine it? So I think that's was the editorial process as well, trying to make a more refined album that was helping me grow as a maker of the musics. And then we'll get a little more crazy as we go next couple of records.
As somebody who is still, for a lot of people, very associated with church music, when you're working on this stuff, and especially when you start to get more experimental, is it ever into your mind like they're not playing this one on Sunday morning? Like, is that a consideration you have to bring into the songwriting process?
What I've found, this is kind of funny, it's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny I've not said this out loud to people, so it might not be funny at all, but it is funny to me. What happens in a lot of writing sessions is I'll come in and the writers who write all the time and write, all the songs that, my church is singing that you see on the, digital performer charts and the CCLI charts, like they're writing all the songs that the churches are singing. And I'm like, hey, I want to write with them because they write the church songs. And then I'll come in and they're like, oh, thank God Crowder's here. We can throw all the stuff that we think is too weird at him.
Oh, interesting.
They're never going to sing this in church. And they're like, I know, but you do those songs and nobody sings in church. I'm like, but I go to church. I want to sing my songs in church. And so it's been funny. I think I've carved out a spot where I've always viewed my role in a very utilitarian way. Like, I don't feel like, hey, I just want to write some crazy songs and get it out of my system. It feels like I'm pretty purposeful in what I'm trying to do. I want to say things in a different way at times. I also want to say things in a very universal way at times. And I would dare say I more often want and wish I were writing in a more universal way, but I'm made in the way I am, and so oftentimes it hits a little off center.
Thematically, when you look back over this album, over Milk and Honey, what do you feel? I know you don't. This isn't, to my knowledge, not really a concept album, but is there a thematic, like unifying, like this is the idea that this is the box that this one is in?
Man, I think I'm pretty redundant overall for all of my writing. It's all usually has to do with a couple of themes. It's like theme is we're humans and we're very different than our maker. Like there's a great distance between the divine and his creation. There's a vast divide there. I sing about that a lot. And I also sing about the largeness of grace, the redemptiveness, that like the grace is such an offensive. It's like it's too superfluous. It's too much. I think I sing about that a lot. That I know, I feel, and most of the people that I have gotten to know well in my journey with Jesus is we all feel like we're, there's that voice that says you're less than, you're not good enough. It's like what you've done renders you beyond redemption. And the thing that I want to sing over and over is that no, that's not true. That voice is a lie. That's a lie. And there is this grace that's superfluous. It's exaggerated and luxurious, and it's beyond, and you didn't do anything for it, and you haven't gone too far, and there's forgiveness. And I think that theme is to me promise and promised land, and it's the land that's full of every good thing. I know that the Canaan thing is the analogy there for the milk and honey, but I think when you know that you're seen and known, that's the promise that we're singing about.